Let's chitty chitty bang bang. So, in today's video, we will be going over Matthew chapter 5 in the Bible. And I can already tell you, based on how long this chapter was, how long it took me to study for it, how long my notes are, it's probably going to be a long video. So, grab your snacks, strap in. Let's get ready because Jesus meant what he said. And how do you know he meant what he said? Because he sat down. It wasn't casual conversation anymore amongst his people, amongst disciples. It was, I'm sitting down, therefore, you listen up. So I feel very appropriate sitting crisscross applesauce with you guys right now. But he goes over 9 sections in just chapter 5 alone, and each one of them are very meaty sections, especially the first 11 verses of chapter 5. Jesus opens up this little sermon with the Beatitudes. Now, what are the Beatitudes? Great question, because I had no idea, and I've known about Jesus since my inception. So, the Beatitudes are essentially the root, the foundation, the soil of where your heart posture should be as a Christian. Okay. And they're called the Beatitudes because they're the attitudes y'all should have, and every sentence starts with a B. At least that's how I'm remembering it. That's probably not the museum lady explanation of it all. But every verse will between verses 3 and 11 will start with a B for blessed are, blessed be. But what's ironic about it is that it starts with blessed be, and then it's followed up by the least blessing sounding thing possible. But we will be breaking down each little section little by little as quickly as possible because there is a lot to get through. But first, let's ask why Jesus starts here to begin with. Great question. The Beatitudes are the foundation. If he can get your heart posture right from the beginning of the sermon, the rest of what he teaches is cake. Not really. It's still going to hurt your feelings. It's still going to open your eyes a lot. But it'll be a lot easier to digest as opposed to not being, I guess, repentant and wanting to listen to what Jesus has to say for the first 11 verses. But also, you'll be blessed. Now, what does it mean to be blessed? A lot of folks, especially back then, thought that blessed or to be blessed meant that you had a lot of stuff. You had a lot of accolades. You had a lot of success. You had a lot of clothes and money and a beautiful home and a beautiful family. And that's what it meant to be blessed by God. But people failed to realize that a lot of these physical, material, showcasey type of things didn't always come from God. They came from some really shady deals. Sometimes deals with the devil, deals with your own dignity. Not all beautiful things come from God. I will say, not all that shimmers is gold. But to be blessed, what it actually means to be blessed, it means to be known by God, to be favored by God. And if you think about it, when you are known by someone, especially on an intimate level, it is blissful because that there's somebody out there that knows what makes you happy. There's someone out there that knows what makes you upset or what you're allergic to or what you avoid or what you're drawn to and what makes you smile and what your favorite scent and color and flavor of things are. And they go out of their way to bring those things to you, to appease you, and to bring harm's way out of your way. That's what it means to be blessed, to be known by God. So, yes, can God give you the materialistic and accolade things and the success and the beautiful family? Absolutely. That is one of God's favorite things to do, is to pour love on the ones he loves the most, which is us, you know? But that's not the only way to prove or to show that you are blessed. There are some very contradictory ways that God shows us that we are blessed, and we're about to break them down. Number 1, blessed are the poor in spirit. What does that even mean? Great question. It means life humbled you. Life humbled you. You are on your knees and you're looking up going, I don't know how to do this without you, God. I don't know where to go from here. I can't see a way out. I don't know what solution lies ahead. I need your help. Blessed are the poor in spirit. Remember, blessed is to be known by God. So God is saying, I'm here to step in. This is step one. It's like a 12-step program. Admit you have a problem. Admit you need me, is what God is saying. Blessed are the poor in spirit because I will meet you there. I will fill in the gaps. I will be the light in the darkness that you are seeking. I will be the solution. Watch me work. Blessed are the poor in spirit. So the next time you're feeling down in the dumps, congrats. Blessed are the poor in spirit. Moving on to blessed are those who mourn. Now, mourning means you lost somebody, you lost something, you lost yourself over something, usually to sin. And God is saying, good, I'm going to meet you there. Because when you are mourning, you are most sensitive. So God's presence, God's voice, God's word, God's gifts, God's blessings over you, you're going to be especially susceptible to them. So blessed are those who mourn. You are the most known, and you will know God the most when you are the most sensitive, when you are mourning. Blessed are the meek, not to be confused with weak, because every time I try to explain meekness to one of my friends, especially those who don't believe in God, their automatic thought is meek equals weak, when it is quite the utter opposite. Meek simply means self control. And the automatic visual that comes to mind when I think of meekness is some guy at a bar that's creating problems with another guy who is exhibiting meekness. And there's this other impulsive guy that just wants to start a fight. And when he goes up to the meek guy, he's trying to rile him up. And the meek guy, instead of knocking this guy out, especially if the impulsive guy gives him a good one, the guy doesn't fight back. He simply follows protocol. He follows the chain of command. He gets a manager, and then if that's not helpful or one's not available, he gets a cop involved and gets law enforcement involved, and he just steps back. And that is the epitome to me of a manly man. That's someone exhibiting self-control. And the reason why I think the modern man might view that as weakness rather than meekness is because in that moment it looks like the meek man was the loser in the fight. Like if we had posted him on World Star, he would have been laughed at by everybody. But in the long term, he ends up winning. He ends up winning because the other guy who may have won in that moment, may have physically won the fight in that moment, while he may have won and is getting celebrated by society on World Star and on TikTok and all the rest, he now has to go to jail. He now has to pay fees. He now has to get a lawyer. He's now missing work. He's probably getting fired. His love prospects are now diminished. And I'm not saying that God can't come into that person's life and turn it all around. God is the king of redemption and restoration. But that's an L in my book. That's you going to be cleaning up that mess for a hot minute. Whereas our meek friend just has to clean up a bruise, get some stitches, call it a day. Yeah. Self control. Blessed are those who exhibit self control because God is going to be your lawyer later. God is stepping in free of charge to defend you later. You may have lost that fist fight in that moment, but He's redeeming you later. He will step in. Blessed are those who are meek. Next is blessed are those who thirst and hunger for righteousness' sake, otherwise known as blessed are those who are obedient. Now, when I first read this, I didn't quite understand what it meant, but hungering and thirsting for righteousness is essentially wanting things to be done the right way, wanting things to be fair. And when I think of things being done the right way or being done fairly, I think of doing things the biblical way, of doing things God's way. And modern society may not think of doing things the godly way, but they follow laws, they follow policies, they follow procedures, they follow things at work that may or may not make sense, but they sign up to do it anyway, because they value rules and we value order and we value fairness and we want things to be done a certain way so we know what to expect and that there's a sense of safety. And when things aren't being followed through on and there's a sense of chaos now because not everyone's doing their part, God blesses those who thirst and hunger for righteousness, that thirst and hunger for things to be done the right way, God's way. So if you are seeing injustice done on the news or at work or in your relationship or in your family, and your heart breaks and you're upset about it and you're angry about it, God's saying, good, good. That means you're still alive. That means you still have a moral compass within you. That moral compass that is on fire, that's my connection to you because I feel that moral compass too. Matter of fact, I instilled that moral compass within you. So blessed are you. I know you, and now you know me. Blessed are those who thirst and hunger for righteousness. The next one, we got blessed are the merciful, otherwise known as the compassionate. How are you blessed when you are compassionate towards somebody else? It means that you remember that God has been abundantly compassionate over you. He made the ultimate sacrifice. He died on the cross for you. When you didn't, one, didn't do anything for God, and two, did not deserve it. You did everything against God. Blessed are the merciful. So anytime you decide to forgive someone who's wronged you, you turn a cheek, you just decide to be the bigger person. God is saying, now you understand what it's like to be me. Now you're getting a glimpse of what it's like to be godly, of what it's like to be righteous, of what it's like to be loved, because I love you so much that I'm merciful on you. Because quite frankly, when I think about God's mercy over me, I should be dead. I should be fired. I should be homeless. I shouldn't have a car. I shouldn't have people who love me and value me and root for me. I shouldn't have a God that loves me and wants the best for me. And here I am anyway, abundantly blessed with things I do not deserve simply because God has mercy over me. So when I remember how merciful God is over me, I remember to be merciful over others. That's beautiful. Blessed are the pure in heart. Now, when I read this, I think blessed are those who are loyal to God. So much so that they are set apart. You are so loyal to God that you look different, you dress different, you talk different. Your eyes are set different than everybody else, where everyone else is looking at sex and money and success and lust and clothing and materialistic things. The pure in heart, they're looking at God. They're looking at what makes God happy. What can I do to get closer to God? What can I do to bring others closer to God? My eyes are set on God. That is a fierce loyalty. And blessed are those who are locked in on God, because God will protect you. When your eyes are locked in on God and not all the rest of the mess that is this world, God is protecting you from pain and from greed and from lust and from things that are just going to distract you from your purpose and from all of the blessings that God has in store for you. It's going to prolong all of the love and all of the mission that you have ahead of you. If you are pure in heart, you are protected and you are blessed. Blessed are the peacemakers, not to be confused with peacekeepers, because it's one thing when things are already nice and you can keep the peace. It's a different thing when things are chaotic and you step in to make peace. God loves that. God loves that. You are going to get hit. Okay, you are going to take plenty of hits. Matter of fact, when you decide to be the peacemaker, in a situation, because you have to appease God first. And you are showing all parties involved what God looks like in a very chaotic situation. And most times people are not up for that. They don't want any light to be shown in on their darkness because they have a lot of things that they want to hide, especially when it's two parties fighting against one another and you're stepping in to be the peacemaker. You're exposing a lot of things that the other parties don't want to see. And so you're going to be the scapegoat. You're going to be the common denominator that everyone now decides to hate against. And God is saying, "Blessed are you, because I will protect you. I will protect your name. I see your heart. I see your effort. And out of all of this, peace will come. And you may not get any glory. You may not get any credit, but I see it in heaven, and you will be favored by me. You will be known by me, and something good will come out of it. Blessed are the peacemakers." Next is, "Blessed are those who are persecuted because of righteousness' sake." So simply because you do the right thing, you are going to get mocked at. You're going to get laughed at. People are going to judge you. People are going to think that you're doing the most, that you think you're too much, that you think that you're better than other people. And God is saying, "Blessed are you who are persecuted because of your righteousness." Because again, you're stepping into my shoes. You're knowing what it is to be like Jesus. You're knowing what it is to be like God. Now don't get it twisted. I'm not saying that you are now God, okay? But you are now getting a glimpse, a percentage of a percentage of a percentage of a glimpse of what it's like for you to do the right things, for you to have the right intentions, for you to pour your soul and your love and your heart out into something, and for those to mock you and to laugh at you and to, quite frankly, hurt you and do things in spite of you, not because of you. You get a glimpse into all of the effort that Jesus put into us on the cross. And blessed are you to know what it is to have that kind of heart. Blessed are you to have that type of heart, because God is going to reward you. God is going to give you not only treasures in heaven, but I know a lot of viewers are interested in the here and now. And God is going to reward you here on earth with people who value that, and with materialistic rewards that, I guess, reflect that. But blessed are you who do the right thing over and over and over again without tangible rewards in sight. God sees that, and God will bless you. And I don't know, I just feel like that's the most beautiful attribute out of all of them. And last but not least, blessed are you when people insult you, persecute you, and falsely say all kinds of evil against you because of God. That one kind of speaks for itself, but you're learning to endure. You're learning to what it means to be steadfast. And that same endurance will get you through all of life, because life is no easy road. People are going to spit in your face for doing the right things, especially people will spit in your face for doing the wrong things too. So you might as well do the right things. Blessed are those who are persecuted and insulted when it comes to God. So those are the Beatitudes. The too long didn't read version is, "Poor in spirit" means to be humble. "Those who mourn" are sensitive. "The meek" are self controlled. "Those who hunger and thirst for righteousness" are obedient. "The merciful" are compassionate. "The pure in heart" are holy or loyal. "The peacemakers" focus on reconciliation. "Those who are persecuted because of righteousness" are committed. And "those who are insulted and persecuted" are patient. Whew, Beatitudes. Moving on to the next section, salt and light. What does it mean to be the salt and light of the earth? I love this question. Salt is very importante, especially back then, because salt not only provided flavor, which is very important even now, but salt, especially back then, would restore, would protect, would heal. And God is calling you to be salt, to restore, to heal, to flavor the earth. And He's also calling you to be a light. And what does light do? It shows others where civilization lies. And when God put a light in you, when Jesus brought the Holy Spirit and put inside of us. He's saying, show others the light in you so that they know where life is, so that they know where the truth is, so that they know where guidance and direction and forgiveness is, to know where it starts. Be the salt and light of the earth. That is our role as Christians. We're essentially like walking billboards for Jesus. And he's not calling us to be perfect. He's not telling us to embody all of these things in the Beatitudes and to have all of these fruits ready for harvest and showcased in front of everybody. No, no, no. Relax. He's just saying, show your salt, be a light. He's already put the light in you. Try your best, guide people to the light. He takes care of the rest. All you do is plant the seed. He's the farmer. He will water the seed, he will bring the sunlight. All you do, show people where the farm is at by showing a light on it. Show people where truth is by being the salt and light. Jesus then moves on to the fulfillment of the law. My interpretation of the fulfillment of the law is Jesus is essentially saying, look, the Old Testament still stands true. I'm not here to rewrite it. I'm not here to say we're going away with it. I'm not doing away with hundreds of years of culture and tradition and truth. What I am saying is, I am here to fulfill all of the prophecy that you can find in the Old Testament. I'm about to prove it with my teachings, with my lifestyle, and with my sacrifice to y'all. But I'm also here to tell y'all where you're missing the mark from the Old Testament, from the law. Now, obviously, they don't call it the Old Testament. They didn't know that they were currently being written into the New Testament. So they called it the law. Jesus is saying, look, y'all are trying your best. I see this. But a lot of y'all are getting away with murder, quite literally and figuratively. And I'm about to set the record straight on what a bunch of this stuff in the Old Testament actually meant. Oh, and shame on you if you are a preacher of the law and you decide to conveniently bypass everything I'm about to teach. Because if you do that, then you're basically lying about the whole teaching. You're basically conveniently lying about everything. So buckle down because I'm about to tell you the truth. One of the Old Testament laws that he wants to address first, murder. Pretty apropos. This is found in Exodus chapter 20, verse 13, I believe. And it's pretty cut and dry. You shall not murder. And everybody was like, okay, cool, bet. I can do that. But then would walk around murdering anyway. But that wasn't the point. Because remember, God, Jesus, he is here for the root of things. So the fruit that is being showcased and that everybody is focused on, the fruit is murder. The root that Jesus is about to talk about is anger. So if you are an angry little chap, guess what? You're committing murder in your heart. Because if you let anger and bitterness fester for long enough, you're probably going to end up becoming a murderer. And Jesus is telling us, hey, especially you Pharisees and Sadducees, I need y'all to stop preaching so much about murder and start looking inwards to think about, what murderous tendencies do I have in my heart? I may not be physically murdering folks, but I could easily think of a list of people I wish dead right here, right now, for my own selfish gains. Jesus also offers some pretty valuable advice and says, settle your matters quickly. Quickly, before y'all even make it to court, like on the way there, just settle your matters quickly. Because it's easier to squash beef early on than before time festers, than before stories get convoluted and misconstrued and fabricated even more so than they were to begin with. And it's better to have a clean slate with folks than it is to let things drag on and let that bitterness drag on in your heart. Also, God doesn't want you to bring all of that bitterness to the altar. He doesn't want y'all going to church with all this bitterness for all the folks inside of the church in you. He doesn't want you praying for all of these beautiful things in your life to come true while holding on to this anger in your heart. And yes, you can pray, yes, God, please remove the anger away from me, do away with it. But he's being so clear cut and direct. Settle that on your own. Like, I gave you all of these attributes. Go back to the Beatitudes. I made you in such a way that you can squash your own beef. Once you have that clean slate, once you are the bigger person, once you are meek, once you are patient, once you mourn, once you are poor in spirit, okay, cool. We can chit chat. We are intimate again. We're on the same team. But this anger thing you got going on, this anger dilemma in your heart, that's not of me. We can't chitty chitty bang bang right now because I don't know you. How can you know me when you got all this anger in your heart? Squash your beef. Um, so it's very valuable advice, you know? While we're on the theme of getting away with murder from things from the Old Testament, Jesus now starts talking about adultery. Now, in the Old Testament, I believe it's in chapter 20, verse 14, it says, "You shall not commit adultery." Clear cut direct. But here's the thing, here's the problem. While people weren't outright just cheating on their spouses and finding married people to sleep with, they were looking at people with lust in their eye. And to look at people with lust, this is bad on a two level plane here. One, when you are lustful, you are looking at a person like an object. You are no longer looking at them like God's creation or someone with value, with thoughts and feelings and dreams and opinions, or as someone's daughter or son. You are now looking at them as an object for your own personal needs or pleasure or gratification. And the other reason lust is so critically bad is because when you are looking at someone like an object for your own personal needs, you are now making your idol, taking your eyes off of God and making your idol so many different forms of wicked sin and deception. Um, and God is no longer your priority. You're no longer being pure in heart. You're no longer being loyal to God. You're no longer on the narrow path. You're no longer on track. You're now focused on things and on someone that, quite frankly, you shouldn't be focused on, especially if you're married, especially if they're married. And that is the root of what Jesus is getting into. So, yes, adultery, bad, but lust is the root of that action. If you all can stop being lustful, that would be great. Matter of fact, Jesus offers some pretty valuable advice on this one too. Avoid any situation in which you feel as though you will no longer be able to be loyal to God. Avoid a situation in which you will be more drawn to sin. Avoid situations that draw you closer to sin than they draw you closer to God. And do it at all costs to the point where you can cut off your hands, cut out your eyeballs. It's that deep to Jesus. Okay, cool, but boom, what happens then if adultery is now committed? Well, according to Deuteronomy 24:1, this is grounds for divorce, right? This is back in the day when Moses was like, okay, you scallywags, y'all are doing the absolute most. We need some order. Fine, fine, fine. I'll appease y'all. Divorce, divorce, but only for adultery, only you know, for the cheatins and the whatnots. But again, people were taking this whole certificate of divorce and running away with it and trying to get away with murder simply on semantics. And it got to the point where adultery could be seen as your husband no longer viewing you as beautiful or favorable in his eyes. You could also get divorced because you burnt your man's toast and he was pissed at you that day and he said enough with you. Now, why does Jesus bring up divorce in this section? Great question. He's specifically going after abusers because let's think about context, although this this little bit of context can still be applied to modern day America and the rest of the world, but I digress. Back in the day, women had so many far less rights than compared to today. Um, and if a woman was divorced, especially if she had had children, she was seen as used goods and without rights and without money and without prospects because nobody wanted parts of a divorced woman. Whereas the man could get away scotch free, still had all the money, still could get women, kept the house, kept the children. Like everything was good. Everything was good for the man. And so it was an abuse of power for a man to want to just simply willy nilly divorce a woman. So God is saying, look, um, anyone who divorces his wife except for sexual immorality, bad, bad, bad. If things are sexually immoral, right? We got some sexual idolatry, adultery. I can't speak. Going on. Okay, cool, cool. Yo, this is too messy. This is not of me. I don't approve of this. Fine. But otherwise, stop making these women victims. That would be great. That would be great. So does Jesus approve of divorce? No. No, but he does understand. That was my understanding of divorce. But ultimately, the sanctity of marriage is still very important to Jesus. Matter of fact, the next section we talk about is oaths. And do not break your oath, but fulfill to the Lord the vows that you have made. But here's the valuable advice that I got from this section of chapter 5 is that don't just go about swearing, oh, I swear on my mama, I swear to God, I swear on my dead goldfish, I swear, I swear, I swear. You know what that makes you sound like? Very manipulative. Next time I hear someone say, oh, I swear to God, or I swear on my mama, um, now I know you're being dishonest. Now, because you're using something righteous, you're using something holy, you're using something good and sacrificial and using it to parade as someone religious or good or trustworthy instead of letting your own character, your own actions speak on your behalf. And also, when you agree to a promise, just say yes or say no. And same applies not just a promise, but like an agreement or um, like if you agree to pick up extra shifts or go to someone's birthday party or to babysit someone's dog or whatever the case may be. If you say yes, be about it. Just show up. Don't be fluffy about it. Don't, oh, I swear to my mama I'm going to be there. Just say yes and then go. And then next time you say yes, they'll be like, oh, they're more trustworthy to me now because last time they said yes, they followed through with their yes, not because you swore on your mama or you swore to God that you were going to show up. But let your no be your no and don't fluff it up. You don't have to uh no, I can't make it because my goldfish needs to be fed. And then, I have my nighttime ritual. And then we have the TV show that comes on. And then I have to do my Bible study. Girl, let your no be your no. People will respect you so much more when you say no with your chest because when you say yes, it'll mean something. It's not just fluffed up with excuses. Ultimately, with this whole oath section, Jesus is trying to teach us how to be folks with integrity. Christians have integrity. We show others that we have salt and light by the way we are, not just by the things that we say. Another section of the Old Testament that Jesus needed to get straight was Exodus 21:24. When we start talking about the legal matters of an eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth. And back in the day, in the Old Testament, what it legally meant was if you rob my tooth, okay, tooth for tooth. I am now entitled to your tooth. If you rob my sheep, I am now entitled to one of your sheep. If you take X, I am now entitled to X. But that was only in regards to legal matters. Like you are taking it up to a court and a judge, and there are people there, and it is being handled legally. This is not for your own personal beef. But back in the day, people were using Exodus 21 to quite literally get away with murder. and use that verse for revenge, their own personal revenge, completely taking it out of context for the legal matters of it all. But Jesus is calling us to do the opposite. Even in legal matters, he's saying if you are asked to give them a shirt, as a Christian, you give them your cloak too, which back in the day, for context sake, that meant a lot because you could back in the day sue for someone's shirt, but you legally could not sue someone for their cloak because their cloak meant protection. And Jesus is saying, okay, they want your shirt, give them your protection too. I got you covered. But killed them with kindness, killed them with generosity. Let them know what a Christian's heart looks like. Because don't worry, babe. I got you covered. Give generously, and I will give back to you tenfold. If anyone forces you to go 1 mile, go with them too. Because again, for historical context sake, um, Jews could be told by the Romans to grab their gear, very heavy bunch of stuffed gear, and walk 1 mile legally in the heat with all of that weight on their back. And Jesus is saying, okay, they call you for one, kill them with kindness, kill them with generosity, walk with them too. Show them what a Christian looks like. Show them what it means to be a good person. Show them what I've done for you in your life and how generous I've been to you. The last little bit that Jesus very much wanted to clarify from the Old Testament here in chapter 5 is Leviticus 19:18, where we have heard it said that love your neighbor and hate your enemy. But Jesus is saying, where did y'all get this hate your enemy from? Y'all inserted that amongst yourselves culturally. Like I never, my daddy said that. I said that. We approved that. Since when? Since when? No. Love your enemies and pray for those who persecute you. Whew. Whew. Revolutionary, eh? In this little section, Jesus is saying God loves all of us equally. He pours rain on all the grass, on all the flowers, on all the trees. He does not discriminate. Therefore, you got to love everybody just the same. And don't give yourself a little pat on the back because you love your mama and your babies and your coworkers and everybody who agrees with you. No, I'm also calling you to love your haters. I'm calling you to love your exes and your ex's exes, and I'm calling you to love those who are leaving mean comments, and I'm asking you to love those who won't promote you. I'm asking to love the Karens that come into your job. Love those people too, because that love won't discriminate, and quite frankly, those people need love the most. Before editing, we are at 49 minutes, so needless to say, I tried steamrolling through chapter 5, and it is still entirely too long of a video. Hopefully, we can chop it down to about 30-ish minutes for YouTube. But anyway, you guys, I hope you enjoyed my understanding of Matthew 5. Please let me know if you have any questions, concerns, or funny jokes by leaving a comment down below. I welcome any and all discourse. If you agree with something I said, if you disagreed with something I said, if there's anything that as a fellow Christian you feel the need to correct me on, please feel free to do so. I am actively learning just as much as anybody else here is trying to learn. But yeah, you guys, today is July 7th, 2K25. So happy Monday, you beautiful people. My name is Giselle. I am 29 years old. If you like this video at all, please make sure that you like, comment, subscribe, all of that good jazz. Know that I love you with all of my heart, and I will catch you in my next video. Mwah. Mwah.